I'm Mina Man. Welcome to Higher Ground, the only show dedicated to finding common ground in the contentious debate over BC's natural resources. Well, the 2014 municipal elections have now come and gone, and the campaign was certainly exciting and the results interesting. At times here in Metro Vancouver, it felt like the election was a referendum on resources, and depending on which side of the debate you fall, there went your vote. So were natural resources a winner or a loser in the election? Let's unpack the results. When you look at the election results for two of the big three cities in the metro region, Burnaby and Vancouver, you'd be forgiven to think the pro-resource position lost out. In Burnaby, incumbent Derek Corrigan secured his fifth term as mayor with 70% of the vote, and as you probably know, Mayor Corrigan is leading the charge against the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion, proposed to run through his city and under Burnaby Mountain.
Protect the people, not Kinder Morgan!
Just days following the election, Kinder Morgan was granted an injunction, and the RCMP then moved in to arrest pipeline protesters, removing them from the site so the company could return to its survey work. On Friday, the mayor told the province newspaper that this is going to be a war, and it's going to be one that carries on for a number of years. He also said, "I didn't look for any fight, but like any good East End boy, if it comes to me, I'm not going to back down." That sentiment of not backing down and standing up for a fight also played a central role in Gregor Robertson's campaign for re-election as mayor of Vancouver.
Today, Vancouver is moving forward because we're standing up for what we believe in.
While the Vision team campaigned on innovation and green jobs, it's what they don't believe in that stood out the most.
From standing up against more oil tankers.
Whoa, that was fast. Let's hear that again.
From standing up against more oil tankers.
These clips are straight from Vision's campaign ads, which ran hundreds of times on media outlets in Metro Vancouver. Clearly, this promise was critical to Gregor Robertson's campaign. So what happened? As you know, he won re-election, but it wasn't a clean sweep. Challenger for Mayor Kirk Lapointe and his nonpartisan association promised Vancouverites a more balanced approach to resource development. While losing the run for mayor, the NPA did increase the number of seats it holds on city council. It took over the Parks Board and made a significant inroads on the school board. So with all those votes for the NPA, how did the referendum on resources go? Joining us today in studio is Gordon Clark, Editorial Pages Editor and columnist from the Province newspaper and theprovince.com. Gordon, do you think this year's elections were a referendum on resources?
Well, certainly in Vancouver that would be the case. Vision has been in power for 6 years, has now been elected for another 4 years. Speaking, I think, about a lot of concerns around resource development in the province. And so the fact that they were re-elected and ran on those things is an indication that it is speaking to those issues.
What about in Burnaby?
Burnaby's a kind of a special situation, I think. Derek Corrigan has been in power for a long time. He's a very popular guy. He's a very effective mayor. And despite the fact that he's taken a kind of a hard line against the Kinder Morgan project, it's a little murky to me whether that's exactly why he had success. I mean, he's raising those issues, certainly. But if those issues weren't there, I'm not sure that the opposition would have done better necessarily.
And Gordon, was there a difference for regions outside of the Lower Mainland?
I think in other parts of the province is less so. I mean, people in communities that are more directly affected by resources and resource development, especially in terms of jobs, it's a less of an issue because it's not as controversial. There's a lot of people in urban areas that aren't directly experiencing resources, don't feel that they get anything out of it necessarily, and so it allows them to take perhaps a different view of resource development than someone living in Smithers or Prince George or up in the Peace area, for instance, or really anywhere in the interior, where if they're not in a resource job themselves, they certainly know friends and neighbors who are.
In your mind, are the election results a setback or an opportunity?
I don't think in any way you can call them a setback. If you focus in, for instance, on Vancouver, which is probably the government that would be most perceived at least to be most anti-resource. They would say they're not, but I think a lot of people feel that way. They've actually been pushed back a little, and I think, for instance, the mayor's apology, some part of that must have to do with a feeling that he's pushing his agenda too quickly and certainly beyond what people are comfortable with. I mean, Vision won, but they lost the park board, they have lost control of the school board, And there was a resurgence of people who, feel differently than Vision do, who are looking for more practical answers, I think, to the environmental questions of our times than perhaps Vision has. So there certainly is, I think, a growing awareness in Vancouver, even, despite the mayor's win, that in fact people do understand that Vancouver, our motto in Vancouver is by land and sea we prosper, and we have to kind of keep that in mind. Vancouver only exists because of the great wealth of this whole province and our ability to be a port to ship products to the world.
And that's it for Higher Ground this week. Make sure to visit our website at resourceworks.com, sign up for our e-newsletter, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For ResourceWorks, I'm Mina Man. Thanks for watching.